In a lively neighborhood of Lagos, there lived a young woman named Ifeoma, known for her beauty and her extravagant ways. She loved the attention she received from the young men in the area and proudly displayed her wealth with flashy clothes, expensive shoes, and makeup that made her the talk of the town. Her friends called her a slay mama, and she loved the title. Every day, she passed by a small store where a young man named Chijioke sold Akara, fried bean cakes. He was poor, but his smile and hardworking spirit won the admiration of everyone who knew him. One hot afternoon, as Ifeoma walked past Chijioke's stall, he shyly greeted her. "Good afternoon, Ifeoma. Would you like to try some fresh Akara today?" he asked with hope in his eyes. Ifeoma looked at him with a sneer, disgusted by the smell of beans frying in the hot oil. "You think I'd waste my time eating that dirty food?" she said, laughing at him. "I'm too beautiful for such poverty. You should aim higher than offering me beans, Chijioke." But Chijioke was not easily discouraged. He smiled gently and replied, "I may not have much now, Ifeoma, but I have a heart full of dreams. Would you consider marrying me one day?" Ifeoma burst into laughter, her friends joining in. "Marry you? The boy who sells Akara? Dream on, Chijioke. Go find someone of your own level," she mocked. Chijioke, though hurt, only bowed his head respectfully. "I hope one day you'll see my worth," he said softly. Over the next few weeks, Chijioke worked tirelessly at his store, perfecting his Akara recipe, while Ifeoma continued to flaunt her beauty and wealth in front of the young men who gathered around her. She rarely passed by Chijioke's store anymore, but every now and then, she would glance at him and laugh at the thought of his bold proposal. It was a good joke, in her eyes, but it didn't matter. She had bigger dreams, dreams of marrying a rich man, one with a car, a house, and the means to pamper her. One day, Chijioke decided that he could no longer sit quietly, waiting for Ifeoma's acknowledgement. He worked hard, saving every penny he earned from his Akara business. He knew he could never be a rich man overnight, but he believed in his dream and in the power of love. He bought a small gold chain and a simple ring and, one evening, approached Ifeoma as she sat in front of a fancy boutique with her friends. "Ifeoma," he called softly, and she looked up with a look of annoyance on her face. "What do you want now, Chijioke? I told you I'm not interested." But Chijioke didn't back down. "I'm not asking for your beauty, Ifeoma," he said earnestly. "I'm asking for your heart. I believe that we can build a future together, starting from where I am." Ifeoma scoffed and waved her hand dismissively. "I'd never lower myself to be with you," she replied with disgust. "You're poor, and you'll always be poor. Find someone else to waste your time on." Chijioke stood still for a moment, his heart heavy, but he gently placed the ring in her hand. "Please, just think about it," he said before walking away. Days passed, and Ifeoma thought little of Chijioke's proposal. To her, it was a joke, something laughable. After all, she had men with cars, men with flashy phones, and men who bought her the best clothes. Chijioke, though kind and hardworking, was nothing but a poor bean seller, someone who could never offer her the life she dreamed of. But Chijioke's refusal to give up weighed heavily on her heart. It made her think, even though she would never admit it aloud. One evening, as she sat with her friends at a restaurant, one of them jokingly asked, "Is it true that Chijioke proposed to you?" "That poor guy." Ifeoma rolled her eyes and laughed. "Of course, he did. But I told him off. I could never marry someone like him. I don't want to end up like those poor women who have to settle for less." Her friends chuckled, but deep down, Ifeoma couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with how she was treating Chijioke. As the days went by, Ifeoma found herself avoiding Chijioke's store, afraid of seeing the disappointment in his eyes. But when she did pass by, she noticed something different. More and more people were coming to buy Akara from him. His business was booming. He was no longer just the poor bean seller. He had grown into a respected man in the community, known not only for his cooking but for his integrity and kindness. Ifeoma couldn't help but feel a strange mix of envy and admiration for him. One day, as Ifeoma strode past Chijioke's stall, she saw him sitting with a young woman. They were laughing together, sharing a plate of akara. The young woman looked radiant, happy, and content. Ifeoma's heart sank. She had never seen Chijioke with anyone else before. The realization hit her like a sharp stone. Her pride and vanity had led her to reject a man who had nothing but love and a good heart to offer. Chijioke had always been kind, and now, he was a man of respect and success in his own way. The young woman sitting with him didn't care about his wealth, she cared about his character. Ifeoma felt an overwhelming sense of regret. She had been so focused on appearances that she never saw the treasure that lay beneath the surface. As Ifeoma turned to walk away, she overheard the young woman say, "I'm so lucky to have found someone as hardworking and humble as you, Chijioke." Ifeoma's heart sank even further. She had let a good man slip through her fingers because she thought she deserved someone richer, someone who could keep up with her outward beauty. In that moment, Ifeoma realized that true beauty wasn't about the clothes you wore or the car you drove, but about the kindness and sincerity of your heart. The following days felt long and heavy for Ifeoma. Every time she walked through the busy streets of Lagos, her mind kept replaying that moment when Chijioke had humbly proposed to her. The laughter of her friends still echoed in her ears, but now it wasn't funny anymore. It was a bitter reminder of her arrogance and pride. She had rejected a man who not only had a kind heart but also the perseverance and determination to make something out of his life. She, on the other hand, had always believed that beauty, money, and status were what mattered most. One afternoon, Ifeoma sat in a cafe sipping a cappuccino, her gaze wandering absent-mindedly over the crowd. Her friends were still around, still praising her for her looks and the expensive gifts she received from the rich suitors she had attracted. But none of them could truly see her loneliness, her emptiness. Ifeoma had surrounded herself with the finest things, yet something was missing. It was like she was looking for a feeling she couldn't buy. Her thoughts wandered back to Chijioke, and she realized that all the things she had once mocked him for, his hard work, his humility, his simple nature, were the very qualities that had made him valuable. She thought about the conversations she had overheard about him, how people respected him for his work ethic, how he gave back to the community, how he was a man of integrity. How could she have been so blind? Perhaps, she thought, the life she had been chasing, full of luxury and admiration, wasn't the one that would bring her peace or happiness. She now realized that love, trust, and humility were the foundations of a fulfilling life. But, was it too late to apologize? Would Chijioke even want to hear from her? The next day, Ifeoma could hardly contain the storm of emotions that had built up inside her. She knew what she had to do, she had to go to Chijioke and apologize. But the thought of facing him after everything she had said to him made her stomach turn. Would he accept her apology? Or would he still see her as the proud, shallow woman who had laughed at his love? Taking a deep breath, Ifeoma walked toward the familiar corner where Chijioke had his Akara stand. The smell of frying beans filled the air, but today, it didn't disgust her. Today, it reminded her of the humility she had dismissed. As she approached the stall, she saw Chijioke sitting behind it, serving customers with a smile on his face. He was busy but not too busy to notice her arrival. Ifeoma hesitated for a moment, but then, with a rush of courage, she stepped forward. "Chijioke," she said softly. He looked up and nodded in acknowledgement, though his face remained neutral. There was no warmth in his gaze, and Ifeoma could tell that he wasn't sure what to expect from her. I owe you an apology," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I was wrong to treat you the way I did. I mocked you, rejected you, and judged you based on things that don't matter. I was too proud, too caught up in appearances to see who you really are. I'm sorry, Chijioke." There was a long silence. Chijioke put down the ladle he was holding and looked at her for a moment. His face remained calm, but there was something in his eyes, a hint of pain mixed with understanding. Finally, he spoke, his voice gentle but firm. I appreciate your apology, Ifeoma. But I want you to understand that love, real love, isn't about beauty or status. It's about respect, sincerity, and loyalty. You didn't just reject me, you rejected everything I stand for. It wasn't easy to move on, but I've grown from it. Ifeoma's heart sank. She had hurt him deeply, and now, she could see how much he had grown. I understand, she whispered. And I've learned that I've been living my life all wrong. I was looking for something that was never going to bring me happiness. Chijioke nodded. We all have to learn the hard way sometimes. But you can still change, Ifeoma. It's never too late to become a better person. After her encounter with Chijioke, Ifeoma spent the following days reflecting on everything she had taken for granted. She realized how much of her life had been based on superficial things, her looks, the attention she received, the status she clung to. She had always thought that her beauty was her greatest asset, but now she saw that beauty could only take you so far. The true worth of a person came from the heart, from their actions, and from the way they treated others. Ifeoma began to spend more time with people who didn't care about her wealth or her appearance. She started helping out at a local orphanage, donating her time to children who needed care and attention. It was hard at first. She wasn't used to being so humble, to doing work without getting anything in return. But as she spent more time with the children, she felt a joy she hadn't known before. The simple act of helping others, of giving without expecting anything, filled a void inside her that nothing else had. She also made an effort to learn from Chijioke. While she didn't expect him to forgive her immediately or take her back, she admired his strength and his sense of purpose. He didn't measure his success by wealth or appearance, he measured it by how much he could help others. Ifeoma realized that, even though she had rejected him, he had been a better role model than all the rich men she had chased after. His life was a testament to hard work, integrity, and kindness. Over the next few months, Ifeoma and Chijioke's paths began to cross more frequently, though in a different way. Ifeoma had stopped spending her time in the lavish places she once frequented, and instead, she found herself joining community events where Chijioke was often invited to speak about business, entrepreneurship, and community development. She would sit in the audience, listening intently as he shared his story. Chijioke spoke not only about the struggles he faced but about the importance of persistence, humility, and giving back. One evening, after a community event, Ifeoma found herself standing near the stage where Chijioke was packing up. She hesitated but then approached him. I just wanted to thank you for everything you've taught me, she said quietly. I've been changing, for the better, I hope. Chijioke looked up, his expression softer now. It's good to see you finding your way, Ifeoma. I can see that you've been trying. Change isn't easy, but it's worth it. Just keep working at it. Ifeoma smiled, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. I will, she said. And thank you, for showing me that there's more to life than what I thought. They stood there for a moment, an unspoken understanding passing between them. There were no hard feelings anymore, just mutual respect. Ifeoma knew that while they might never be romantically involved, the lessons she had learned from Chijioke had been invaluable. Ifeoma continued to live with more purpose, no longer chasing after things that only gave her temporary satisfaction. She volunteered more, helping with community projects, and even began to use her social media platform to raise awareness for causes that mattered. Slowly, the people around her started to notice the change in her. She was no longer the slay mama of the town, flaunting her wealth and beauty. Instead, she was a woman known for her kindness, her work ethic, and her willingness to help those in need. Chijioke, on the other hand, had grown even more successful with his Akara business. It had expanded, and he had started catering for local events, teaching young people how to make a living from small businesses. He had become a role model for many, especially the young men in the community who admired his quiet strength and his refusal to give up on his dreams. One day, as Ifeoma walked through the market, she saw Chijioke standing at his stall, serving a long line of customers with the same smile he had always had. She stopped for a moment, watching him, and then, without thinking, she walked up to him. "Chijioke," she said, her voice full of warmth, "I just wanted to say I'm proud of you. You've done so much for this community." He looked up, surprised to see her standing there, but he smiled. "Thank you, Ifeoma. I'm just doing my part." As time went on, Ifeoma and Chijioke continued to cross paths, always with mutual respect and understanding. Ifeoma had finally learned that true wealth wasn't found in the things she wore or the status she held. It was found in the kindness she gave to others, in the way she lived her life with integrity, and in the relationships she built. Chijioke, too, had become a man of influence in the community, not because of the money he made. If you find this story interesting, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts. We encourage comments and discussion in the comments section. Guess what? Another story is coming up in a few days. Do well to hit the notification bell to be notified, and do subscribe and give a thumbs up to like and encourage this channel, Evelyn Sampson TV. Feel free to share and invite your friends. Thank you once again for being a part of our storytelling journey.